Happy Friday, kindergarten. It's Miss Walls, and I'm going to read you a story. Today, your story is called A Frog's Life Cycle. A Frog's Life Cycle. I want you to think about that title. I want you to tell me, is this going to be a fiction story or a non-fiction story? That's right. It's going to be non-fiction. A frog's life cycle. It's going to tell us about how a frog grows. So that is definitely real life and something that really happens and not made up. So here we go. A Frog's Life Cycle by Rachel Kreisman. Baby frogs are called tadpoles. As tadpoles grow, they change shape. They turn into frogs. A mother frog lays eggs in or near water. Inside each egg, a tadpole grows. Then the tadpole hatches. It has a long tail. The tadpole swims like a fish. It uses gills to breathe underwater. Next, the tadpole grows legs and toes. Its gills and tail get smaller. The tadpole grows lungs. Now the tadpole is a froglet. The froglet's tail gets shorter. Soon its tail is gone. It can leave the water. It can breathe using lungs. The froglet is now a frog. So that told us about a frog's life cycle. It says it starts in an egg. And then what happens inside of that egg? That's right, a tadpole grows. And then after that tadpole grows inside the egg, then the egg hatches. And after that tadpole and that egg hatch, what happens? What happens to that tadpole? That's right, it lives in the water. It said it uses its tail to swim like a fish and its gills to breathe. And then that tadpole changes. What does it change into? It's not a frog yet. It's called a froglet. And that froglet, it grows its lungs, and it still has its tail, and it grows some legs. And then after it becomes a froglet, what's that last step that it becomes again? That's right, it becomes a frog. And so its tail gets shorter and shorter. All right, let's see if you can answer some of these questions for me. This says, what is a baby frog called? Is it called an infant or is it called a tadpole? That's right, it's called a tadpole. It says, what do tadpoles hatch out of? Do they hatch out of eggs or a nest? Eggs or a nest? That's right, a tadpole hatches from eggs that are in the water, not inside of a nest. Number 3, what does a tadpole grow as it becomes a froglet? What does it start to grow as it becomes a froglet? Is it tails and gills or legs and toes? When it becomes a froglet. That's right, those toes and those legs. Number 4, what do frogs have that allow them to breathe out of water? All right, this might be a tricky one. It says, what do frogs have? So do frogs have gills or lungs? Gills or lungs? That's right, an adult frog has lungs. Remember, the tadpole has gills, but once it turns into a frog, it has lungs to breathe. Number 5, what do tadpoles have that frogs do not have? Think about that. There's a few things that they have. What do tadpoles have that frogs do not have? That's right. Tadpoles have a tail, and they also have gills. And frogs do not have a tail. They lose their tail, and they lose their gills, and they actually grow lungs. Number 6, what did you learn from a frog's life cycle? I want you to pause the video because you might have lots to say that you learned. And number 7 says to draw a tadpole. And when you draw a tadpole today, I want you to make sure that you label that tadpole for me. Make sure you put all the parts. It was nice talking to you. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you one more week for distance learning. And then after that, we'll have some nice, cool things for you to do for that very last week of distance learning. See you later.